Your body woke up this morning running instructions that are roughly 2 million years old. Not most of them, not some of them, all of them. The way you sleep, the way your gut works, the way your brain handles stress, the way your energy rises and crashes. Every one of these things is being run by biology that was written not in a lab, not in a hospital, not in a nutrition study. It was written on an open plain 2 million years ago by a body that had to survive or die every single day. The problem is not that your body is broken. The problem is that your body is running the right software in completely the wrong environment. Here is what evolutionary medicine has established. The conditions your body evolved in and the conditions you are living in right now are not even close to the same thing. Researchers at Nature Reviews Genetics published a review in 2021 describing how our evolutionary history shapes disease susceptibility today, noting that traits that were once survival advantages have become, in many modern environments, sources of chronic illness. That is not a fringe idea. That is the scientific consensus. Your ancestors lived in small groups. They moved constantly. They ate in windows, not all day. They slept anchored to the light of the sun. They were regularly cold. They had strong social bonds, and their bodies were built around all of this, not as nice extras, as absolute requirements. Take those requirements away. Give the body comfort instead. Keep it still, indoors, overfed, underslept, socially thin and warm all the time, and watch it begin to fail in exactly the ways that have become the defining health crises of the modern world. There are 11 things your prehistoric body still needs every single day. We are going to go through all of them, and after each one, you will have a single specific thing to do about it, not in a week. Today, Reset 1. Morning light. You have a clock in your brain. It sits in a region called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, a pair of tiny structures that receive light signals directly from your retina. This clock does not run on electricity or willpower. It runs on light. For the entirety of human evolution, that clock received its morning signal from the sun. Direct, bright, natural light, typically within the first 30 minutes of waking. That signal tells your body to stop producing melatonin, the sleep hormone, and to release cortisol in a pattern that sets your energy, your mood, and your immune function for the next 14 hours. Research published in the Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine found that people with high morning light exposure reported better sleep quality, less daytime drowsiness, and more stable circadian rhythms. The mechanism runs in a straight line: morning light in, melatonin suppressed, cortisol calibrated, internal clock set. Most people in the modern world get their first light from a phone screen. That signal arrives from a distance of 30 centimeters in the wrong wavelength, and it does not trigger the same response. Your body treats it as noise. The state before: you wake tired, reach for caffeine before noon, feel a mid-afternoon slump that makes no biological sense, and cannot fall asleep easily at night, even when exhausted. The reason why? Your morning clock never received its signal. Every subsequent hormone and energy process runs off an internal clock that was never properly set. The action today: tomorrow morning, within 30 minutes of waking, go outside for at least 10 minutes. No sunglasses. Look toward the bright part of the sky, not at the sun directly, but in its general direction. Overcast days count. You do not need direct sun. You need outdoor light intensity, which is several hundred times stronger than indoor lighting, even on a cloudy day. What you will notice: most people report clearer energy in the mornings and easier sleep at night within 2 to 4 days. Your body responds to the right signal faster than you might expect. Reset 2. Movement. The Hadza people of northern Tanzania are one of the last remaining hunter-gatherer populations on Earth. Research published in the American Journal of Human Biology measured their physical activity levels directly. Hadza adults engage in approximately 135 minutes of moderate to vigorous physical activity every day. They meet the current US health guidelines for a full week in roughly 2 days. They also have exceptionally low rates of cardiovascular disease, hypertension, and type 2 diabetes. Your body was not built for stillness. It was built for daily, sustained, moderate movement: walking, carrying, climbing, crouching. Not 5 days a week at a gym. Every day, continuously as the default state of being alive. The state before: your back hurts, your joints ache, you feel foggy until mid-morning, you sleep poorly despite not having exercised much, your energy is flat. The reason why: movement is not just exercise, it is the pump for your lymphatic system, which has no heart of its own. It is the signal your cardiovascular system needs to maintain its baseline. It is the input your brain requires to produce BDNF, a protein that supports the growth of new neural connections. Sitting for more than 40 minutes is, research suggests, enough to trigger measurable changes in your posture and metabolism. The action today: take a 20-minute walk after your next meal. Not a run, not a gym session, just walking, outdoors if possible, at a pace that makes you breathe slightly harder than normal. This single act is, according to multiple studies, one of the most effective things you can do for blood glucose control, mood, and energy within the next 2 hours. What you will notice: within the first few days of daily walking, most people report improved mood and clearer thinking in the afternoon. The effect accumulates over weeks. Reset 3. The eating window. Your ancestors did not eat 3 meals a day with snacks in between. They ate when they found food, and they often did not eat for extended periods, not because they were dieting, but because that was simply how survival worked. Johns Hopkins Medicine describes this as metabolic switching, the point at which your body exhausts its glucose stores and begins converting fat to ketone bodies as an alternative fuel. This switch typically happens after around 12 to 14 hours without food. It is not starvation. It is the normal state your metabolism was built around. Research in Science Direct found that intermittent fasting improves insulin sensitivity, reduces oxidative stress, and may activate cellular repair processes. But the deeper point is this: your body has been running this protocol every night of your life. The question is whether you give it enough uninterrupted time to complete it. The state before: you feel hungry constantly, you eat late at night, wake feeling heavy, never feel truly sharp until mid-morning. You carry weight you cannot seem to shift despite reasonable eating during the day. The reason why: eating close to sleep switches your metabolism into storage mode at the exact time your body needs to be in repair and clearance mode. The gap between your last meal and your first the next day determines how long your body gets to run its overnight biological maintenance. The action today: stop eating at least 2 to 3 hours before you go to sleep tonight. That is the only change. Do not change what you eat, just when you stop. Give your body a 12-hour fasting window between your last meal and your first the next morning. What you will notice: many people report better sleep quality almost immediately. Energy in the mornings tends to improve within a week, particularly in the first 2 hours after waking. Reset 4. Sleep anchored to natural light. Research on contemporary Hadza hunter-gatherers, published in Current Biology, found that their sleep was anchored strongly to the natural light-dark cycle. They fell asleep approximately 3 hours after sunset. They woke near dawn. Their circadian rhythms were, by every measure, stronger and more consistent than those of industrialized populations. This is what most people are doing instead. Your light-sensitive retinal cells read blue light wavelengths as daylight. When you expose them to a screen at 11 p.m., your brain receives the biological signal that it is midday. Melatonin production is suppressed. Your core temperature does not drop on schedule. Sleep onset is delayed. And because most people still have to wake at a fixed time, the total sleep duration shortens, the deep sleep phases compress, and the brain does not get sufficient time in the state it needs to run its maintenance. The state before: you cannot fall asleep easily. You wake in the night. You feel unrefreshed in the morning, no matter how many hours you were in bed. The reason why: your sleep is not anchored to the biological signals that were designed to control it. The light in your evening is the wrong type, at the wrong time, in the wrong brightness. The action today: tonight, 1 hour before your target sleep time, put your phone in another room. Dim every light in your home. If you can, use warm orange-toned lamps rather than overhead white lights. These steps begin to mimic the light drop that your body evolved to read as night is coming. Your melatonin can then rise on schedule. What you will notice: many people fall asleep significantly faster on the first night. The effect on sleep depth and morning clarity builds over the following week. Reset 5. The cold signal. Your body contains a type of fat tissue that does one specific thing. It produces heat by burning energy. It is called brown adipose tissue, and unlike regular white fat, which stores energy, brown fat burns it. Research published in the New England Journal of Medicine in 2009 confirmed that adult humans have functional brown adipose tissue and that it activates in response to cold. When it activates, it increases energy expenditure, improves glucose metabolism, and may improve insulin sensitivity. This is not a modern discovery. It is a biological function your body has run since your ancestors crossed every cold river, survived every cold night, and woke every cold morning on open ground. Most people in the modern world are thermally comfortable almost every hour of every day. They are never cold. Their brown fat never switches on. Its contributions to their metabolism are zero. The state before, you feel metabolically sluggish. Weight does not shift despite reasonable diet and some movement. You feel the cold badly when you do encounter it, suggesting your body has lost its ability to generate heat efficiently. The reason why: without any cold signal, your body never activates the metabolic and immune responses that cold was designed to trigger. The thermoregulation capacity that your ancestors maintained through daily cold exposure has, in many modern people, been largely dormant for years. The action today: end your next shower with 30 seconds of cold water on the back of your neck and upper chest. You do not need to be submerged. You do not need to suffer. 30 seconds on those specific areas is enough to begin signaling brown fat activation. Build from there over days and weeks. What you will notice: a warm sensation in the upper chest and back within minutes of the cold water ending. Over days, most people report feeling notably warmer in general as their thermogenesis capacity begins to recover. Reset 6. Your gut's missing passengers. Your gut contains roughly 40 trillion microorganisms. They help regulate your immune system, produce certain vitamins, communicate with your brain through the vagus nerve, and influence your mood, your inflammation levels, and your metabolic function. Research published in PNAS in 2014 established that modern human gut microbiomes are less diverse than those of our close primate relatives. A separate reconstruction study published in Nature in 2021, analyzing ancient human gut DNA, found that pre-industrial gut microbiomes contained bacterial species no longer present in most modern populations. If you want to go further with gut health specifically, the eating window, the fiber types, and the recovery process, I have written a 28-day guide that takes you through what your gut microbiome is still waiting for, day by day. It is linked in the description below. But first, here is what you can do today. The state before: your digestion is irregular, you feel bloated often, your energy dips unpredictably after eating, you are prone to illness more often than you think you should be. The reason why: your gut bacteria evolved on a diet of extraordinary plant diversity, hundreds of different plant species per year. Research on the Hadza showed their microbiome contained a richness of bacterial species, including fiber-fermenting organisms, that are largely absent in Western gut populations. Most modern diets deliver a narrow range of the same foods repeatedly, which, over months and years, reduces the microbial diversity your immune and metabolic systems depend on. The action today: at your next meal, add one plant food that you would not normally eat, not a supplement, an actual food, a handful of seeds, a different vegetable, a fermented food. The goal over the coming weeks is to count the different plant species in your diet across 7 days and get that number as high as possible. What you will notice: changes in gut microbiome composition take weeks to register, but many people report less bloating and more consistent digestion within 10 to 14 days of increasing plant variety. Reset 7. Social contact. Your body runs a continuous background assessment of your social environment. It has been doing this for 2 million years because, for most of human evolution, the answer to whether you were alone or in a group was the difference between safety and death. When you are genuinely socially connected, certain biological states follow. Your inflammatory markers stay lower, your cortisol rhythms are more regulated, your immune function is stronger. A meta-analysis by Holt-Lundstad and colleagues found that loneliness increases mortality risk by approximately 26%, social isolation by 29%. The American Heart Association reported in 2022 that social isolation and loneliness are associated with roughly a 30% increased risk of heart attack, stroke, or death from either. These are not mental health statistics. They are cardiovascular and immune system statistics. Your body experiences isolation as a biological threat. The state before: you spend most of your day interacting through screens. You feel flat or anxious without being able to explain why. You sleep poorly. Your immune function is low. The reason why: digital contact and physical proximity are not biologically equivalent. Your body reads genuine in-person social contact through multiple sensory channels: voice tone, touch, smell, visual cues. Screen-mediated contact provides a fraction of those inputs. The action today: have one genuine, in-person, uninterrupted conversation today. Not a phone call while commuting. Sit with someone and give them your full attention for at least 15 minutes. That is the minimum input your social biology was built around. What you will notice: most people feel measurably calmer and more grounded after genuine face-to-face contact. Sustained over days, this effect is reflected in lower resting heart rate and improved sleep. Reset 8. Sleep depth and the brain cleaning cycle. You are lying on the ground. The fire has burned down to coals. The air is cool, cool enough that you can feel it on your skin where the animal hide does not cover you. Around you, 4 other people sleep. You can hear the rhythm of their breathing. Somewhere far across the grassland, something calls. You register it, process it in under a second, and your body decides it is not a threat. Sleep continues. This is what your brain requires to run its most important overnight process. While you sleep deeply, research suggests that a brain-wide fluid transport system becomes active, a network of channels that flushes out the metabolic waste products that accumulated during the day. Proteins associated with neurodegeneration, cellular byproducts of normal thinking and sensation. Research suggests this clearance process primarily operates during deep, non-REM sleep, and that it is compromised by short or fragmented sleep. Note: this is an active area of research with ongoing scientific debate about the precise mechanisms. Your ancestors slept in the cool of night, not in a warm, bright room, not for 6 hours before a phone alarm. They slept in natural temperature, in true darkness, until their biology woke them. Their sleep was deep and cyclical. Their brains had the time and the conditions to complete the process. The state before: you wake feeling like you never fully rested. You are forgetful. Your concentration fades in the afternoon. You are emotionally less stable than you would like to be. The reason why: your sleep environment does not match what your sleep architecture requires. Temperature, light, and duration all affect the depth and duration of deep sleep phases. The action today: tonight, drop your bedroom temperature as low as is comfortable. Most sleep research points to a range of around 17 to 19 degrees Celsius as optimal for deep sleep. Open a window if possible. Remove as many light sources from the room as you can. These 2 changes address the 2 most consistent disruptors of deep sleep in modern environments. What you will notice: some people notice a difference on the first night. The full effect on daytime clarity and mood typically builds over 1 to 2 weeks. Reset 9. Nature contact. Research has consistently found that time in natural environments produces measurable biological responses that indoor environments cannot replicate. Cortisol levels drop, blood pressure falls, heart rate variability, a measure of nervous system balance, improves. One study found cortisol reductions of approximately 21% within 20 minutes of walking in a forest environment. For the entirety of human evolution, your body received continuous sensory inputs from the natural environment: sound spectra, light variation, air composition, irregular ground surfaces, temperature fluctuation. These inputs were not background noise. Research suggests they were active regulators of your nervous system. Phytoncides, chemical compounds emitted by trees, have been studied in relation to natural killer cell activity in the immune system. Research published in journals including Frontiers in Immunology has suggested that forest air exposure may increase immune cell function. The state before, your baseline stress level is persistently higher than it should be. You feel mentally fatigued by mid-afternoon despite a reasonably normal day. The reason why? Your nervous system is calibrated for constant sensory variety that built environments do not provide. The visual monotony of indoor environments, combined with the sound spectrum of offices and the electromagnetic and light environment of screens, does not provide the inputs your parasympathetic nervous system was built to receive. The action today: find 20 minutes today to be in a natural outdoor environment, a park, a tree-lined street, a garden. Walk or sit. No phone, no goal. This is not exercise, it is nervous system input. What you will notice: most people report feeling measurably less tense within 15 to 20 minutes. The effect on sleep quality when done in the afternoon is particularly consistent. Reset 10. The fasting window and your brain. We touched on fasting as reset 3 from the angle of metabolism. But there is a separate brain-specific reason your ancestors regularly went without food for extended windows, and it matters for your cognitive function. Research on metabolic switching indicates that after approximately 12 to 14 hours without food, your brain begins to receive a proportion of its energy from ketone bodies, molecules derived from fat. Some neuroscientists describe ketones as a cleaner and more efficient fuel for sustained cognitive work than glucose. Your ancestors hunted and gathered in the fasted state. Their brains were running on ketones for hours every morning. The state before: your thinking is clear in the morning but degrades through the day, particularly after meals. You need regular snacking to maintain concentration. The reason why: you may never be in the metabolic state in which your brain was designed to perform its best focused work. If you eat within an hour of waking and eat again throughout the day, your brain never reaches the ketone-fueled state that research suggests may sharpen sustained attention. The action today: tomorrow morning, delay your first meal by 1 to 2 hours. Drink water or plain coffee if needed. Give your body time to complete the overnight metabolic switch before you interrupt it. This is not a diet, it is a timing adjustment. What you will notice: many people report noticeably clearer, more sustained thinking in the late morning when they allow this window. The effect is most pronounced in the first week of trying it. Reset 11. Temperature rhythm. Your body temperature needs to drop by approximately 1 degree Celsius for sleep to begin properly. This is not a preference, it is a biological requirement. Your core temperature is controlled by a system in your brain that is calibrated to the natural day-night temperature cycle. For your ancestors, this happened automatically. Day was warm, night was cool. The temperature drop of nightfall was one of the primary signals to the brain that sleep time was approaching. Your melatonin rise was tied not just to darkness, but to cooling. In a modern, centrally heated home, this signal never arrives. The temperature in the bedroom matches the temperature in the living room. Your brain receives no cooling signal. Sleep onset is delayed. Sleep depth is reduced. The state before: you are tired but cannot sleep. You wake in the night feeling too warm. Your sleep is restless. The reason why: your sleep drive is working correctly. Your temperature environment is not providing the signal your sleep onset requires. The action today: tonight, lower your bedroom temperature before you get into bed. Open a window. Remove one layer from the bed. Allow the room to become noticeably cooler than the rest of your home. If you feel cold initially, use bedding rather than room heating to stay warm. What you will notice: many people fall asleep faster in a cooler room, sometimes on the first night. This is one of the most consistent and immediate sleep interventions in the published literature. These 11 things are not ancient practices. They are the biological requirements of a body that has not had time to evolve out of them. The transition from a prehistoric way of life to the modern world took roughly 300 generations. Human evolution does not move on that timescale. Your body is structurally, hormonally, and biologically the same organism that stood on the open plain. This is not to say that modern medicine, nutrition science, and technology are wrong. They are not. But they are working on a body whose fundamental operating parameters were established in an environment that no longer exists for most people. A disclaimer here. Nothing in this video is medical advice. The research discussed is educational and should not replace guidance from a qualified health professional. Every body is different, and some of the practices discussed here may not be appropriate depending on your individual health circumstances. The mismatch between what your body was built for and what it is actually getting from your daily environment explains a very significant proportion of why so many people feel chronically tired, chronically stressed, chronically inflamed, and chronically unwell, without being technically diagnosed with anything in particular. You have now been given all 11, not as advice, as biology, morning light, daily movement, an eating window, sleep anchored to the light-dark cycle, cold exposure, gut diversity, genuine social contact, deep, cool sleep, nature contact, the fasted morning brain window, natural overnight temperature. These are not 11 new habits. They are 11 things your body has been waiting for. Now, the next video in this series is going to take one of the things we just covered, the 11-item framework you now have, and look at one part of it through a microscope. Specifically, it is going to show you what happens inside your body from the moment you close your eyes to the moment your brain finally comes clean. What your ancestors knew about that window, and what most modern sleepers are missing from it, goes far deeper than anything covered here today. Your body ran all 11 of these processes correctly for 2 million years without being asked. Every failure mode you have been told is your fault is almost certainly the gap between what your biology requires and what your environment is actually providing. These are not character flaws, they are signals, and now that you know what they mean, you can actually do something about them.